Most employers think their health plan's expensive because healthcare costs keep rising. And yeah, that's true, but that's only part of the story. The bigger issue is that most companies are managing one of their largest business expenses with no real strategy behind it. So here's the answer up front. If you want to control healthcare costs, reduce your long term risk, and stop getting dragged into the same renewal cycle every year, you're going to need more than a quote comparison. You need a framework. And at Benesmart, we call that framework the blueprint. It's a process that we use to help employers move from reactive decision making to a long term strategy that treats the health plan like a business asset instead of a growing liability. And in this video, I'm going to walk you through exactly how it works. This video was made for CEOs, CFOs, and HR leaders at companies large enough to feel the weight of healthcare costs, frustrated by the lack of transparency, and who are looking for a better long term path. It's especially relevant for employers who are tired of carrier changes and annual renewal conversations that never seem to solve the real problem. This video is not for employers looking for a quick quote, a minor tweak, or another short term solution. The blueprint wasn't built for companies that are okay playing defense. It's built for organizations that need a real strategy. Over the years, we realized something important. Not every company is in the same place when it comes to taking control of their healthcare strategy. Some organizations are already self funded or know that that's where they're headed and they want to maximize their savings, while others aren't quite ready to self fund just yet, but they still want to make smarter decisions now. That's exactly why we built two blueprints. One is the alternative funding blueprint, designed for companies that want to improve their strategy and start controlling costs even if self funding isn't the immediate move. The other is the self funded blueprint. This is built for organizations that are ready to take greater control of their health plan and exercise their fiduciary responsibilities. But here's the most important part: both blueprints share the same foundation. They follow the same strategic framework and many of the same steps, which means when a company's ready to scale into greater plan ownership, you don't have to start from scratch. You've already laid the foundation. You simply add a few additional steps, and the strategy evolves with you. So instead of starting with quotes, carriers, or plan designs, we start with a structured framework that answers a much more important question first. What should your health plan actually look like 3 to 5 years from now? This framework is what we call the blueprint. Let me show you the entire system first. So the blueprint breaks the process into 3 phases and 9 strategic steps. Phase one is prepare. Phase two is architect. And phase three is steward. Prepare creates clarity, and architect builds the strategy. And finally, steward ensures long term control. So you end up with clarity, a strategy, and control. Now, let's walk through how each phase works. The first phase, prepare. This is where we eliminate blind spots and create clarity before major decisions are made. Most employers skip this phase entirely, which is why strategy never improves. So, for step one, we'll establish support. Before any plan design decisions, we establish the support structure around the plan and the company. This ensures that your team knows where to go for help and how issues get resolved. That includes HR onboarding, a centralized client portal, defined escalation paths for claims and billing issues, and structured access to strategic guidance. Without this structure, companies waste time dealing with administrative noise instead of focusing on strategy. Now, in step two, data insights, this is where we first analyze the data: claims patterns, pharmacy spend, network utilization, benefit cost benchmarks. But we also gather insight directly from employees and leadership through surveys and alignment discussions. This helps us understand both the financial drivers and the human experience of the plan. All of this information is presented to your executive team during the key insight stakeholder meeting, and this is where leadership finally sees what's happening inside of the health plan. Then, in step three, we eliminate the blind spots. That means improving claims visibility, reviewing administrative responsibilities, and ensuring that HR teams have the tools that they need to manage the plan effectively so that they can focus on strategy. By the end of phase one, leadership has something that most employers never receive: clarity. And that clarity allows us to move into phase two, which is where we build the strategy. Phase two is architect. And we're building the strategy not just for your next renewal, but for the next 3 to 5 years. So in step 4, we begin by establishing the long-term roadmap. This roadmap may include pharmacy strategy improvements, direct contracting opportunities, network optimization, cost containment programs. The goal here isn't a one-time savings event. It's building a system that improves year after year. And it's the data that's going to inform these decisions. Now, step 5 is market readiness. Before we take any strategy to market, we validate timing and context. We'll review workforce dynamics, past strategies, and recent claims patterns to ensure that the plan's positioned correctly. The goal is simple: doing everything in the right order with the right timing. Now, step 6, enrollment architecture. Once the strategy is built, communication becomes critical. Employees must understand how the plan works so they can get the most out of it. So we design how the plan's introduced, explained, and implemented during enrollment. When employees understand the plan, adoption improves, and this becomes a major driver of cost control. Now, phase 3, after we've set the strategy, this is where we really focus on stewarding the strategy. Launching the plan is not the finish line, it's the beginning. And phase 3 is all about maintaining control. This is where long-term results are created. Step 7, after a successful open enrollment, so during open enrollment execution, we're going to ensure the rollout is structured and supported so employees understand their options and how to use the plan effectively. But when we get into step 8, this is where we establish KPIs. At this stage, we begin tracking plan performance the same way you would track any other major business expense. Look, healthcare spending is just too large to manage without clear metrics. So we monitor indicators such as pharmacy spend as a percentage of total claims, preventative care adherence, avoidable ER utilization, or cost per employee and vendor performance. These metrics allow leadership to see what's working and what isn't, and where adjustments should be made to keep the plan improving year after year. And then finally, in step 9, we're going to establish a cadence of executive reviews. And these aren't renewal meetings, these are going to be strategic reviews where leadership evaluates the performance, identifies opportunities, and determines which cost containment levers should be pulled next. Over time, the health plan will become something that most employers have never experienced before. You'll get predictable, transparent, and controllable, all from your health plan. If you're responsible for your company's health plan and you're starting to question whether the traditional renewal process is really working, the first step is a conversation. Every engagement begins with what we call a find your fit call. During that call, we learn what problems you're experiencing, your current exposure, your future risk, what strategies you've tried in the past, and what goals you're trying to achieve today. If there's alignment, we move into a benefits cost benchmarking review. We analyze your current plan and compare it against similar employers to identify overpayment, cost drivers, and opportunities for improvement. Those findings are then presented during an executive stakeholder meeting. From there, we'll schedule a coordinated yes/no meeting. If the answer is yes, the organization becomes a client and we begin implementing the blueprint. If the answer is no, it may still make sense to conduct a deeper multi-year performance review where we create a documented how to fix it plan outlining how the plan could be improved over time. For some companies, that path leads to the self-funded blueprint. For others, it begins with the alternative funding blueprint. Either way, the goal is the same: turn your health plan from a growing liability into a well-managed business asset. If you'd like to explore whether this approach makes sense for your organization, you can schedule a Find Your Fit call by clicking the button below.